Your 2-year-old son just called again. It's the third time this month, and it's only the 15th. Mom, I'm short on rent. Can you help me out? And you're sitting there with your phone in your hand, knowing exactly what's about to happen. You're going to say yes. You're going to transfer the money. You're going to tell yourself it's just this once, even though you said that last month and the month before and every month for the past 3 years. And then next week he'll call about his car insurance or his electric bill or some emergency that somehow only he seems to have every single month. You know what you are to your adult child? You're not a parent. You're an ATM. You're a bank that never closes, never says no, and never charges interest. And the worst part, you taught them to treat you this way. Every time you handed over money for another crisis, another excuse, another I promise I'll pay you back that never happened, you taught them that you're always going to bail them out. How's that working for you? Because I'm betting your retirement account is looking pretty thin while your 30-something kid is getting DoorDash delivered to the apartment you're paying for. Let me tell you something about what's really happening here. Your adult child isn't struggling. They're not having bad luck. They're not going through a rough patch. They're choosing not to be responsible because they don't have to be. Why would they budget when mom and dad are always there? Why would they work overtime when one phone call gets them $500? Why would they make hard choices about their spending when they can just outsource their financial problems to you? You've created a situation where being irresponsible has zero consequences. In fact, it has rewards. They call, they get money, they keep living however they want. You're not helping them. You're crippling them. You're keeping them dependent. You're preventing them from ever growing up. And you're doing it because you can't stand the thought of them struggling, even though struggling is exactly what they need to do. Here's what I need you to understand. Every dollar you give your adult child is a dollar they didn't have to earn. Every bill you pay is a bill they didn't have to prioritize. Every time you rescue them from their own choices, you're teaching them that their choices don't matter. You're teaching them that someone will always save them. You're teaching them that responsibility is optional. And then you wonder why they're 35 and still can't manage their own life. You did this. Not entirely. They made their choices too. But you enabled every single one of those choices by removing the consequences. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. So acknowledge this. You're not a generous parent. You're a scared parent. You're terrified of what happens if you say no. You're terrified they'll struggle. You're terrified they'll be angry with you. You're terrified they'll cut you off, so you keep paying. So here's the thing. Let me show you what this pattern actually looks like. Jennifer is 58 years old. Her daughter Amy is 29. Amy has a college degree she's not using, works part-time at a coffee shop, making $14 an hour, about 25 hours a week, lives in an apartment she can barely afford, drives a car that's too expensive for her income. Every month, like clockwork, Amy calls, "Mom, I'm short $400 for rent." Jennifer sends it. "Mom, my car payment is due, and I don't get paid until next week." Jennifer sends it. "Mom, I need new tires." Jennifer sends it. "Mom, my credit card is maxed out and I need groceries." Jennifer sends it. Last month, it was $600 for a car repair. The month before that, it was $300 for utilities she forgot to budget for. Last year, Jennifer calculated it. She sent Amy $8,200. That's not counting the birthday money, the Christmas money, the here's a little something extra money. That's just the crisis calls. Jennifer is a teacher. She makes $52,000 a year before taxes. She's supposed to retire in 7 years at 65. Her retirement account has $47,000 in it. At her age, it should have at least $150,000, probably more. She should be contributing $500 a month to catch up. Instead, she's sending that money to Amy. Where'd the money go? To Amy's rent, Amy's car, Amy's life, that Amy should be paying for herself. And now Amy's talking about going back to grad school because she's not passionate about her current work. And guess who she expects to pay for it? Guess who she expects to support her while she's a full-time student again? Now listen, Amy's not a bad person. She's not evil. She's not intentionally trying to destroy her mother's future. She doesn't wake up every morning thinking, how can I ruin Mom's retirement today? She's just doing what she's always done, what she's been taught to do. When Amy was in college and ran out of money partway through the semester because she spent her food budget on going out, Mom sent more. When Amy got her first apartment and couldn't afford furniture, Mom bought it all. Nice furniture too, not the hand-me-down stuff most two-year-olds start with. When Amy's first car broke down and she needed $1,200 for repairs, instead of teaching her to save or finance it herself, Mom bought her a newer car. When Amy lost her job because she kept showing up late, Mom covered all her expenses until she found another one, which took 6 months because there was no urgency, no pressure, no reason to take the first thing available. Amy has never, not once in her entire adult life, had to face the full consequences of her choices. She's never had to sit in an apartment with no electricity because she didn't pay the bill. She's never had to tell friends, I can't go out, I'm broke, because she overspent. She's never had to eat rice and beans for a week because that's all she could afford. She's never had to work a job she hated because she needed the money. Mom always swooped in. Mom always fixed it. So why would she change? From her perspective, this system works great. She gets to live beyond her means, make impulsive decisions, and Mom handles the fallout. And Jennifer tells herself she's being a good mother. She tells herself Amy just needs a little help. She tells herself it'll get better when Amy gets promoted, or finds a better job, or meets the right person, or matures a little more. It's not going to get better. This is a pattern, and you know it. Here's what kills me about situations like this. You know your kid is irresponsible with money. You know it. You see them posting on social media about the concert they went to, the new tattoo they got, the weekend trip they took, and then 3 days later they're calling you because they can't pay their electric bill. They're not poor. They're bad with money. There's a difference. Poor means you're working full-time, maybe 2 jobs, and still can't make ends meet because wages are low and costs are high. Poor means you're making hard choices between medication and groceries. Poor means you're doing everything right and it's still not enough. That's poor. Bad with money means you're spending $200 at the bar on Friday night and then asking Mom for grocery money on Monday. Bad with money means you bought a $60 video game but can't pay your phone bill. Bad with money means you went out to eat 4 times this week but need help with rent. Bad with money means you're getting takeout delivered instead of cooking. You're buying clothes you don't need. You're subscribing to streaming services you can't afford. And you know what you do when they call? You send the money anyway. You don't say, well, you had money for concerts and tattoos and trips, so figure it out. You don't say, sounds like you need to budget better and cut out the stuff that's not essential. You send the money and you make excuses for them. Well, they work hard. They deserve to have fun. Sure, they deserve to have fun after their bills are paid, not instead of their bills being paid. They deserve to have fun with the money they have left after being responsible, not with money they don't have that forces them to call mommy and daddy. Let me break this down for you. Your adult child has learned to operate in crisis mode because crisis mode works. Every month is an emergency. Every bill is unexpected. Every expense is a surprise. Except none of it's actually unexpected. Rent is due the same day every month. Car insurance comes every 6 months. Their phone bill hasn't changed in 2 years. But they present it to you like it's a crisis, and you respond like it's a crisis, and you send money like it's a crisis. What you're not seeing is that this is the system. This is how they live. They spend everything they have on whatever they want, and then when the bills come, they call you. And it works. It works every single time. You either get it or you don't. If you're reading this and your stomach is tight because you just sent your 8-year-old money yesterday, you get it. You want to know what's really happening? Your adult child is making choices every day. They're making choices about how to spend their money. And they're choosing concerts over rent. They're choosing new clothes over car insurance. They're choosing eating out over groceries. They're choosing immediate gratification over adult responsibility. And then they're choosing to call you to fix it. Those are all choices, not bad luck, not circumstances beyond their control, choices. And you're making choices too. You're choosing to enable. You're choosing to rescue. You're choosing their comfort over their growth. You're choosing to sacrifice your financial security so they don't have to experience discomfort. These are choices both of you are making. The difference is they're making choices that benefit them in the short term. You're making choices that harm you in the long term. Here's what you need to face. You're not helping them build a life. You're preventing them from building a life. Real life skills come from struggle. Budgeting skills come from not having enough money and having to figure it out. Prioritization skills come from having to choose between things you want because you can't have both. Responsibility comes from facing consequences. You're robbing them of all of that. You think you're being a good parent by making sure they don't struggle. But struggling is how people learn. You didn't learn to manage money because someone always bailed you out. You learned because you had to. You learned because there was no other option. Your kid doesn't have that teacher because you keep interfering with the lesson. Stop playing the victim when they don't grow up. You're actively preventing them from growing up. Let me show you what this looks like from a different angle. Robert is 62. His son Jake is 34. Jake has had 7 jobs in the last 8 years. First, he was in sales, quit after 6 months because he didn't like the pressure. Then he tried marketing, got fired after a year for missing too many deadlines. Then he worked at a startup that failed. Then he tried real estate, quit when he didn't make any sales in 3 months. Every single time he quits or gets fired, Robert pays his bills while Jake looks for something better. Jake's currently 3 months into unemployment. Won't take anything that's not a senior level position, even though he's never stayed anywhere long enough to actually become senior at anything. Robert has sent him $4,500 in the last 90 days. That's $1,500 a month. For an able-bodied 3-4-year-old man with a college degree and 8 years of work experience. Robert's wife, Linda, is furious. She wants to cut Jake off. She's watching their retirement account drain while Jake sits at home playing video games and sending out 3 resumes a week. Robert says, he's our son, we can't let him be homeless. But here's what Robert's not saying. Jake's not about to be homeless. Jake's got a degree in business. Jake's got work experience in multiple fields. Jake could get a job at Target tomorrow making $17 an hour if he was willing to swallow his pride. He could get a job in customer service, in retail, in food service, in delivery, anything, while he looks for something better. But Jake's holding out for the perfect position with the perfect title and the perfect salary because he can, because Dad's paying his rent while he waits. Robert thinks he's preventing catastrophe. What he's actually doing is funding Jake's refusal to be an adult. And now Robert's marriage is suffering because Linda resents him choosing Jake over their future. His retirement is depleted, and Jake still doesn't have a job and shows zero urgency about finding one. What's your goal here, Robert? Because keeping your son dependent isn't helping anyone. It's destroying your marriage and your future and preventing Jake from ever developing work ethic or resilience. So here's the deal. Let's talk about what's going to happen if you don't stop this. You're going to work until you're 70 because you won't be able to afford to retire. Your adult child is going to be 45 and still calling you for money because they never learned to manage without you. Your marriage, if you're married, is going to suffer because your spouse is going to resent you choosing your kid over your shared future. Your other children, if you have them, are going to resent you for giving one sibling all the money while they figured it out on their own. Your relationship with your kid is going to stay shallow because it's based on transactions, not real connection. They don't call to see how you're doing. They call when they need something. And deep down, you know it. You know the difference between a call that starts with, "How are you, Mom?" and a call that starts with, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." One is a relationship, one is a transaction. Which calls are you getting? Here's what's really going on. You're not doing this for them, you're doing this for you. You're doing it because saying no feels horrible. You're doing it because you're scared of them being upset with you. You're doing it because somewhere in your head, you believe that a good parent never lets their child struggle. You're doing it because you feel guilty. Maybe you worked too much when they were young. Maybe you got divorced. Maybe you weren't perfect. So now you're trying to make up for it by making their adult life easy. But that's not how it works. You can't fix the past by ruining the future. Your kid doesn't need your money. They need you to believe in them enough to let them figure it out. They need you to respect them enough to expect them to be responsible. They need you to love them enough to let them fail. What did you expect? You've been doing this for how long? 3 years? 5 years? 10 years? What did you expect would happen? Did you think they'd suddenly wake up one day and say, "You know what? I should stop asking Mom and Dad for money"? That's not how human behavior works. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. They've been asking and you've been giving. That pattern will continue until one of you breaks it. And it's not going to be them. Why would they break a pattern that's working for them? It has to be you. You have to be the one who says enough. You have to be the one who changes the dynamic. You have to be the one who loves them enough to stop enabling them. Let me tell you what nobody's telling you. Your adult child is capable of way more than you think they are. You're treating them like they're fragile, like they can't handle life, like they'll fall apart without your constant financial support. But they're not fragile. They're untested. There's a difference. You've never given them the chance to find out what they're capable of because you keep stepping in before they have to try. You know what most people do when they're short on rent? They work overtime, they get a second job, they sell stuff, they ask their landlord for an extension, and bust their butt to make it work. They figure it out. Your kid doesn't do any of that because they don't have to. They've got you. And as long as they've got you, they'll never develop the skills they need to make it on their own. Here's what you're not seeing. Every time you send money, you're sending a message. And the message isn't, "I love you." The message is, "I don't think you can handle this. I don't think you're capable of solving your own problems. I don't trust you to be a functional adult." That's what your money says. And they hear it, and they believe it. So they don't even try. Why would they? You've already told them they can't do it by yourself. Your enabling isn't coming from confidence in them. It's coming from a lack of confidence in them. And they can feel it. So they live down to your expectations. You taught them how to treat you. You taught them that calling you with a crisis gets results. You taught them that you'll always say yes. You taught them that their poor planning is your emergency. And now you're upset that they treat you exactly how you taught them to treat you. Now, listen, I'm not saying your kid is a bad person. I'm not saying they're intentionally manipulating you, though some of them are. I'm saying they're doing what humans do. They're taking the path of least resistance, and you've made it really easy. You've paved a 6-lane highway straight to your bank account. No tolls, no speed limits, open 24/7s. Why would they take the hard road of budgeting and sacrifice when the easy road is right there? They're not monsters for taking it. They're just doing what you've taught them is acceptable. The question isn't, why are they doing this? The question is, why are you letting them? Let me ask you something. When does it end? When do they become responsible? When they're 35, 40, 50? Because I can tell you right now, if you don't stop, it never ends. You'll be 75 years old sending money to your 50-year-old child. You'll be eating ramen so they can eat steak. You'll be living in a crappy apartment so they can live in a nice one. You'll work until you die because you can't afford to retire. And they'll still be calling, still be asking, still be expecting you to handle their life. When's it going to be enough? When are you going to wake up and realize you're not helping them? You're destroying both of you. Here's the reality. You're lying to yourself about why you do this. You tell yourself it's because you're a good parent. You tell yourself it's because you love them. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself they just need a little help to get on their feet. Stop lying to yourself. You're doing this because you're scared. You're scared of conflict. You're scared of their anger. You're scared of being the bad guy. You're scared they'll cut you out of their life. You're scared of what people will think. You're scared of feeling guilty. So you keep paying, you keep enabling, you keep making yourself smaller so they can stay comfortable, and it's killing you. Your stress level, your bank account, your marriage, your peace of mind. All of it is being sacrificed to avoid one uncomfortable conversation. Let me show you what saying no actually looks like. Because I know you're sitting there thinking, I can't just let them be homeless, or I can't just cut them off. Here's what you need to understand. Saying no isn't cutting them off. It's setting a boundary. When your daughter calls and says, Mom, I'm $300 short on rent this month, you don't say, okay, honey, I'll transfer it right now. You say, that sounds really stressful. What's your plan to come up with it? Not mean, not sarcastic, just asking them what they're going to do about their problem. And when she says, I don't have a plan, that's why I'm calling you. You say, I understand this is hard. I'm not sending money. You're going to need to figure this out. Clear, direct, no apology. And when she escalates, because she will, and says, I can't believe you're doing this to me, I'm going to be evicted, you stay calm. You say, I hear that you're scared. You're a smart, capable person, and you're going to figure this out. I'm not sending money. And when she says, so you're just going to let me be homeless? You say, you're not going to be homeless. You're going to do what people do. You're going to call your landlord and work out a payment plan, or you're going to pick up extra shifts, or you're going to sell something, or you're going to figure it out. I believe you can handle this. Then you end the call. I love you. I know you'll figure it out. I got to go. Then you hang up, not mean, not emotional, just done. If she calls back crying, you don't answer. If she texts saying you're a terrible parent, you don't engage. You send one text, I love you, I'm not sending money, you're capable of handling this. That's it. No arguing, no defending, no explaining, over and over. You state your boundary and you enforce it. If she shows up at your door, you don't let her in to argue. You say through the door or on the porch, I'm not discussing this. My answer is no. When you're ready to have a calm conversation about something other than money, call me. Then you close the door. Is it hard? Yes. Is it going to feel terrible? Absolutely. Is it necessary? 100%. Here's what you're not understanding about the guilt. You feel guilty because you're a decent person who cares about your kid. But guilt isn't always accurate. Sometimes guilt is just old programming. You were raised to believe that parents sacrifice everything for their kids, that you put them first no matter what. That saying no makes you selfish. But that's not truth. That's conditioning. Real love isn't giving people everything they want. Real love is giving people what they need. And what your adult child needs is to learn to stand on their own 2 feet. What they need is natural consequences. What they need is to develop resilience and resourcefulness and self-reliance. They can't develop any of that while you're hovering over them with your checkbook, preventing them from ever having to try. Let me tell you what's going to happen when you finally say no. They're going to be angry. They're going to tell you you're mean, you're selfish, you don't care about them. They're going to tell other family members what a terrible parent you are. They might not talk to you for a while, and you're going to feel awful. You're going to question yourself. You're going to wonder if you did the right thing. You're going to want to cave and send the money just to make it stop. Don't sit in that discomfort. Because on the other side of that discomfort is something better for both of you. They're going to have to figure it out. And they will. They'll work it out with their landlord. They'll pick up extra hours. They'll ask a friend. They'll get creative. They'll do what they should have been doing all along. And they'll survive. And they'll learn. And next month, when another bill comes, they'll remember that you're not going to bail them out, so they'll budget better. That's how learning works. You've done this before. This isn't the first time you've sent money you couldn't really afford. This isn't the first time you've said yes when you wanted to say no. This isn't the first time you've put their wants ahead of your needs. You've been doing this for years. And every time you do it, the pattern gets stronger. Every time you rescue them, you train them to need rescuing. Every time you pay for their irresponsibility, you teach them that irresponsibility works. This is who you are until you decide to change. You're the parent who can't say no, the parent who sacrifices their own security for their kids' comfort, the parent who enables instead of empowers, but you don't have to keep being that parent. You can change. Today, right now, here's what you need to do. First, you sit down and you calculate exactly how much money you've given your adult child in the last year. Add it up. Rent help, car payment help, insurance, emergencies, birthday money, Christmas money, all of it. Write down the number. Look at it. Really look at it. Now multiply it by 10. That's what you'll give them over the next decade if you don't stop. Is that what you want? Is that the retirement you planned? Second, you write down your boundary. I will no longer give you money for your bills or expenses. You're an adult, and I trust you to handle your own finances. You write it down so you remember it when they call crying. Third, you call your kid. Don't text. Don't wait for them to call you. You call them, and you tell them, we need to talk. I've been thinking about our financial arrangement, and I've decided it needs to change. Starting next month, I'm not going to be sending you money anymore. You're an adult, and it's time for you to handle your own finances completely. I love you, and I believe you're capable of this. And when they freak out, because they will, you don't back down. You don't negotiate. You don't say, well, maybe just one more month. You say, I know this is a change. You have 3 weeks to adjust your budget. I'm confident you can do this. Then you get off the phone before they can guilt you into changing your mind. Fourth, You tell your spouse or a close friend what you're doing, and you ask them to hold you accountable. You need someone who'll say, "Remember why you're doing this," when you're tempted to cave. Someone who'll remind you that short-term discomfort leads to long-term freedom. Fifth, you block your ability to easily send money. You remove them from your Venmo. You don't keep your banking app open on your phone. You make it harder for yourself to impulsively send money in a moment of guilt. Sixth, you prepare for the backlash. They're going to test the boundary. They're going to call with a crisis. They're going to say, "But this is different." It's not different. The answer is still no. And seventh, this is important, you stick with it. Not for a week, not for a month. You stick with it until they adjust, which they will. Humans are adaptable. They'll figure it out because they'll have to. Some of them will get mad first. Some of them will try guilt. Some of them will give you the silent treatment. Let them. Your job isn't to prevent them from being upset. Your job is to stop enabling their irresponsibility. They'll survive being upset with you. What they won't survive, what you won't survive, is another decade of this pattern. What are you going to do about it? Because right now, you're reading this and you're either nodding along or you're getting defensive. If you're defensive, ask yourself why. Is it because what I'm saying isn't true? Or is it because it is true and you don't want to face it? Your adult child treating you like an ATM is a problem you created and a problem you can solve. But only if you're willing to do the hard thing. Only if you're willing to be uncomfortable. Only if you're willing to say no and mean it. You know exactly what you're doing. You know you're enabling. You know they're capable of more. You know this pattern is unhealthy. You know your retirement is suffering. You know your marriage might be suffering. You know they're not learning. You know all of this. The question isn't whether you know, it's whether you're going to do something about it. Because knowing and not changing is the same as not knowing. It's actually worse because you can't use ignorance as an excuse. This is a choice you're making. Every single time you send money, that's a choice. Every time you answer the "I need help" call, that's a choice. Every time you prioritize their comfort over your security, that's a choice. You're choosing this. So choose differently. Choose to believe in them. Choose to respect them enough to let them handle their own life. Choose to protect your future. Choose to teach them that you're not a bank. You're a person who deserves to be treated with respect, not like a financial resource. You're smarter than this. You know better than this. You've probably given this exact advice to a friend who's in the same situation. You can see it clearly when it's someone else's kid. But when it's your kid, suddenly it's different. It's not different. The same rules apply. Adults need to be responsible for their own finances. Parents need to protect their own security. Enabling hurts everyone involved. You know this. So stop pretending you don't. When are you going to wake up? How much more of your retirement are you going to hand over? How many more years are you going to work past when you wanted to retire? How much more stress are you going to carry? How many more fights with your spouse about the money you keep sending? How much longer are you going to watch your 30-something kid live like a teenager while you sacrifice everything to make it possible? When's it going to be enough? Because from where I'm sitting, you've already given too much. The question is whether you're going to keep giving or whether you're finally going to stop. This isn't the first time you've thought about cutting them off. You've thought about it before. You've told yourself, next time I'm saying no. But next time came and you said yes. You've told yourself, this is the last time. But it wasn't. You've told yourself, they'll get better soon. But they haven't. You know why? because you keep removing the reason for them to get better. There's no incentive to change when the current system works perfectly for them. You've got to want to change. And you've got to want them to grow up more than you want them to like you. Stop making excuses. They're not going through a hard time. This is their life. They're not temporarily struggling. This is how they operate. They're not about to turn it around, not while you're funding their irresponsibility. Stop telling yourself it'll get better on its own. It won't. Stop telling yourself they just need a little more time. They've had time. Stop telling yourself you're being a good parent. You're being a scared parent. There's a difference. You created this situation. Not entirely. They made choices too. But you enabled every choice by preventing every consequence. You taught them that managing money is optional, that being responsible is for other people, that mom and dad will always fix it. And now you're dealing with a 30-year-old who has the financial maturity of a 16-year-old. That's on both of you. But only one of you can change it, and it's not them, it's you. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Your behavior, keep giving money and hoping it'll change. Their behavior, keep asking for money because it works. Both of these patterns will continue until someone breaks them. Be the someone. Be the parent who finally says enough. Be the parent who loves them enough to let them struggle. Be the parent who values their own future enough to protect it. Be the parent who teaches them that being an adult means handling your own responsibilities. You know better than this. You were taught to manage money. You were taught to be responsible. You were taught that if you don't work, you don't eat. You were taught that actions have consequences. Somewhere along the way, you decided not to teach your kid these things. Or you tried to teach them and then undercut the lessons by bailing them out every time. Either way, they didn't learn. But it's not too late. They can still learn. Not from your words. They've heard your words. They need to learn from your actions, from your boundaries, from experiencing the natural consequences of their choices. This is on you. Not all of it, but you're part of it. You can't control their choices, but you can control yours. You can choose to stop enabling. You can choose to stop sacrificing your security for their comfort. You can choose to finally teach them what you should have taught them years ago, that being an adult means being responsible for yourself. They'll never learn it while you're doing it for them. What's your payoff? Why do you keep doing this? What are you getting out of it? Because on the surface, it looks like you're just losing money, losing security, losing peace. But you must be getting something or you wouldn't keep doing it. So what is it? Do you get to feel needed? Do you get to feel like a good parent? Do you get to avoid their anger? Do you get to maintain the illusion that you're close? Figure out your payoff, because until you understand why you're doing this, you won't stop. If you're funding your adult child's irresponsibility while your own retirement disappears, you're not alone. Thousands of parents are trapped in this same pattern right now, giving money they can't afford to kids who won't grow up. We post new episodes daily with real talk about parenting failures, enabling, and making the tough choices that actually help your kids instead of hurting them. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And if this hit home, share it with another parent who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop doing too much. The question is, are you brave enough to do it?